So in the last session we tested the SP and IDP flow using HTML form OpenDJ adapter. So let's do one thing now. In this session we can just I'll just show you let's try to access Salesforce using the same account that we created in the Salesforce end through single sign-on. So let me show you. So I basically created the same account in our OpenDJ directory server also, like abhishekart211@identity.com, so that Ping can authenticate me using this account and then send this value in the token so that Salesforce can authorize me, and we can see what role I can get in Salesforce. Okay, we can just try to see, but before that let me just open this Salesforce connection. So we tried with the adapter mapping, adapter configuration. Now let's change that. So in the authentication source mapping, I have chosen a PF learning as a APC. Now let me delete and re-add it so I can show you. So earlier we have added an adapter instance, right? That is HTML form OpenDJ. Now let's try to add a APC and we can see how we can authenticate the user and get the values for the token generation. Okay, using APC that we discussed in maybe the authentication policy contract session. Okay, so let's click on map new authentication policy and then select what you have. So we have only, I think, PF learning. Oh, it's not coming. Sorry, what happened? Let me check that. Yeah, here we have the policy contract. Okay, let's go back. Salesforce. Okay, it's there already, I think. Okay, so I already added this PF learning APC. Okay, now let's open this and let's see what we have there, what we need to define there. So these are basically the contract attributes what you configured in while building the APC. Now you have the mapping method, how you're going to map these methods for, or how basically you're going to get the value for all these attributes. So you have three options here, like you can define the data store in the connection itself so that you can fulfill these values. Or you can just choose the last one, like use only the APC contract values in the SAML assertion. So for now we'll go with this, and the second option is worked as a failsafe mapping, where you have multiple data store, and if user is not residing in one, so it can, as a failsafe, it can just check from other, like that. Okay, and yeah, it can just send us the value. So it can work as in the failsafe manner also. So we can talk on that second option also in another session. We can do some testing with that also, but for now just to use this third option, use only the authentication policy contract values in the SAML assertion. And then let's go next. Now you need to fulfill the attribute contract. So we have chosen the source as the APC for all, and then chosen the value. Okay, phone number, username. So you have the option SAML subject as a username, or you can just choose as an email. That's fine. And then you have the email, first name, last name, like that. So basically we are just fulfilling this value here, and let's click on next and let's save it. Now that two questions will come in your mind. First is like, I have created a connection, I have just configured the APC, and I have just fulfilled the contract fulfillment with the using the source as a APC. Now how PingFederate is going to authenticate me, and how PingFederate is going to get the values of the user from the directory server if it's using that directory server configuration. Okay, like OpenDJ directory server configuration. So these two questions will come in your mind. Now let's see, that is the magic of the APC that you're going to define in the policy. That means in the policy you are going to do the contract mapping as we did in the while creating the authentication policy contract. If you remember, that time we haven't done any test, but right now we can do some tests, so you can see that. Okay, now let's go to now policy to understand that what exactly things will happen. Okay, there is no any policy. Why? What happened? Not sure, I have deleted something or what for testing. Okay, not a problem. Let's quickly add one policy for now. So let's give a policy CIDR. What is that? Is policy 1, and let's put a selector first. Choose selector as CIDR. No, you can choose for no as give the value fragment. and fragment is, let's give the SUPCV, and for yes, if you are like not from that subnet, then give as the HTML form OpenDJ fragment, not adapter. Okay. So now once we define the fragment for no and yes, let's give the fail and yes success part. So for fail, let's give a done. For success, let's map the contract mapping instead of adapter policy contracts. Choose the PF learning and then go for the contract mapping. So here is the contract mapping, means here you are defining that APC value. If you are choosing this, so for example, if this is going to come in the picture during your authentication, runtime authentication, so using this way only it's going to fulfill the values. So this is authentication policy contract mapping we are doing for the SUPCV. Now you can just do one thing, just go to next, no need to add any attribute source, and then in the source just choose as a fragment SUPCV. Now the next question you will ask me that how it's going to fulfill the values of these all attributes from the source as a fragment to SUPCV. So I'll show you this, what exactly is this. Let me quickly configure this and then I'll show you. Let me choose here and then I define the value. Okay, so I choose in a source and I'm defining the value. This is basically for the simple username PCV, and for simple username PCV we have only the username and password, nothing else, right? So email, first name, groups, last name, subject, username. Okay, go to next, and click on done. So this is completed. Now let's do the same for the OpenDJ one. If like user is not from that network, let's be choosing CIDR, right? So for fail, let's click on done. For success, let's give policy contracts, choose the PF learning, APC, and quickly do the contract mapping. And same thing, just do it here also. Go to next, choose the source as the fragment 1 OpenDJ. Okay, now to understand this, like how basically this is getting fulfilled, these values, we can go to fragment now quickly after this. I'll not create another policy, I'll create later. Okay, maybe it removed somehow. I'll create again, or maybe I just did some testing and I haven't saved it. Okay, so phone number, email, then you have the first name, then you have the groups, then you have the last name, then you have the subject, then you have the username. Okay, go to next, click on next and click on done. Yeah, so this policy looks fine. So let me click on done and save it, otherwise again it will be missed. Settings save. Let me do the cluster management. I'll create another policy, okay, after this. So let's go to now authentication tab and let's go to policy tab. So we have the policy. Now the question is like how using fragment the values are getting fulfilled, right? So to understand that, let's go to fragment and just open any one of the fragment. Let's open the OpenDJ fragment 1. So in this you can see what is there. We have the policy as the HTML form OpenDJ adapter, and the success we have given the contract mapping as a PF learning here. So while in the policy, when we just do the contract mapping, we choose in source as the fragment 1 OpenDJ for basically HTML form OpenDJ adapter. So now you can see here, like this is the adapter that is going to handle the authentication. If that policy is triggering for the user, then using this adapter, user will get an authentication page. Now in the adapter we have defined the PCV, so user can the validation will be completed. Now post validation, you need to fulfill the contract. Basically, you need to generate a SAML token which have the user values. For that, in the connection we defined like APC and the values. Now if this fragment is coming to the picture, then you know the authentication will handle with this. And now the values, how it is getting fulfilled, as we in the policy we defined here. Like if I can show you again, policy CIDR. You can see for fragment 1 OpenDJ, if I can just expand it, here we have the fail for done and success for the contract mapping as the PF APC. So if we go to the contract mapping, how we are doing the contract mapping here, by choosing the source as a fragment 1 OpenDJ. That means in the fragment how the values are getting fulfilled, it's basically pulling from there only. So if we can go to fragment now and go to fragment 1 OpenDJ, Now leave this part because this part is done authentication. Now let's click on this contract mapping to get the understanding. Now click on the contract fulfillment. Now you can see here the source is adapter we chosen, right? Adapter HTML from OpenDJ, adapter HTML from OpenDJ, right? So now to understand this, how this fragment is getting fulfilled, we need to now go to adapter. So you can see how the chain is there. So now let's go to adapter of HTML from OpenDJ. So click on IDP adapter. Now go to HTML from OpenDJ. So under HTML from OpenDJ, now you have that, if I can scroll down, you are able to see we have the extended contract. We just define the contract like username, email, first name, last name, phone, like that. Now how we are getting these values in the adapter. So here we define the attribute source as the data store, that is nothing but our OpenDJ directory server, and there we basically define the LDAP directory, filter, and all those things. And here we are just fulfilling the contract fulfillment here, like we are bringing the values from this directory server. That means basically PingFederate connects to that OpenDJ directory server and pulling all these values like first name, last name, phone, email, username, and all those. Correct. So you can see the link is here. So in the policy we simply define the values from our fragment, and in the fragment we defined from where? From the adapter. And in the adapter section basically we are pulling the values and then we defined here, so that you understand now. Correct. So that's the basic of chain and the things happening. Okay. And here we have defined like if I can see first name, last name, phone, email. So email we define from the LDAP ODS as a mail. So whenever we define the email value there, it's just going to get the mail address of the user. Okay. So this is a thing. Now let's go to SP connection, and now let's test this Salesforce application using the same account that I talk about, that abhishekarts211@identity.com, that have the some role in the Salesforce. So we can see how things will happen using single sign-on. Okay, and this policy is active. So if we access right now, the basically the fragment one OpenDJ will trigger, because in the CIDR we just put a network of 0.0, so we are not coming from there. So it will come for the OpenDJ. That means the HTML from OpenDJ adapter will come into the picture. So let me just copy the URL of the application, and let's try from here itself, not a problem. Let me enable the tracer. Let's access this. It given us the HTML form login page, and I'll give the user identity as this one. Okay. So this is done. This is basically happening for the authentication using that HTML form OpenDJ adapter. And after the values, the AP, how the token generation is happening using APC, and how APC is getting from the adapter only that you defined in the policy, the chain that I shown you, the policy, fragment, and then adapter. Okay, that's the basically concept of PingFederate there. Now let's complete the authentication. Let's check the SAML response. So here in the SAML response you can see that in the subject this is my email ID, the first name, phone number, email, and last name is coming. Okay, whatever we define in the directory server. If you can go and check in the directory server, you are able to see that last name, first name, user ID or the email, telephone number, like that. Okay. Now what I want to show you, so this is the basically value PingFed has sent to Salesforce. Now Salesforce is basically consuming this token, because we send the token to a address where basically to this address, identity.com2-dev something dev.mysalesforce.com. that is nothing but their assertion consumer address. So PingFed has sent the response there. Now the Salesforce consume the token, get the user information as a subject, this email. Now it will just look for this information in the Salesforce. So if you can just go, let me close this. If you just go to the Salesforce side, now let's go to the user section and then open the users. I'll show you one thing. Yeah, so you can see here like where is this is the abhishekarts211@identity.com. This is the username we exist in the Salesforce, and what is the profile this identity have as a system admin. So basically Salesforce consume the token, SAML token, get the user information from there, and then validate from their own user repository. So they have this user repository, so they have just done the validation from there and found that this user is having the system administrator role. That role they have given to me. You get it? So that's the way basically it works in the SAML flow. So this is a test we I want to show you that how this token consume is happened, and then how I landed with this role as a system admin. Okay, that's why I have all the access here to make some changes and with the SSO setting and everything, because I'm the system admin here. Sorry. You can see we have all the privileges to make some changes because I'm the admin here. Okay, this looks fine. Now let's do one thing. Let me close this. This is one of the tests I just want to do. Now let's try to test with simple username PCV. In simple username PCV we have two users like test 3 and test 4. So I just try to test and let's see what will happen. In Salesforce side, let me try to access again. Not this one. What is the URL? I just want to open the user section so we can understand what exactly happening. If Salesforce is giving us some error, so why it's giving that error? Okay. So let's go to where is the user section? Task file contact. Let me search here directly. Users or people. Okay, so these are the users we have right now. Test2.example we have, but the username exists with the email address. You can see test2.example@pflearning.com, but this is not exist in our simple username PCV. In simple username PCV we have just test3.example. So these users will not be able to access Salesforce, we can see. And to test this, what we can do, I just want to test the another flow of policy that using selector connection based authentication selector. Right now we tested with the CID here, right? So what I can do, let's go to policy section. I'll create in the selector section, I think I already added selected to CSAS. I added the Salesforce application here. Now how this policy is going to trigger for this selector, for that I'll create a new policy because it removed somehow. I'll go to add policy. Let's say this has a policy to CSAS connection set authentication selector. Let's give just choose selector here, give selector to CSAS and then no and yes. So if the application is mapped to this, then just give something. If it is not, then so what we'll do, we just want to test the simple username PCV. Okay, so what we can do, like in the yes we can just give as a fragment as simple username PCV. Okay, fragment to SU PCV. And in the no we can give the another one, like just give a fragment as OpenDJ one. So okay, for yes we can just, so basically this fragment will trigger, so we can get a HTML form adapter with a simple username PCV facility, not with the OpenDJ one. So for fail just give a done quickly, and for success let's click on policy contract. Same thing you need to do what we did there. So now let's quickly do the contract mapping. Let's go next, choose here fragment to SUVC. Now so now you understand the concept of APC, fragment, adapter, policy. What happened? Got disconnected. Not sure why it got disconnected. Okay, let me add again policy to CSAS. Let's define the selector. Okay, CSAS, and then no for we can give as a no as a fragment as a OpenDJ, and for yes we can give another fragment as a simple username PCV. Okay, because we need to test this adapter now. Let's click on done, and for this give the policy contract PF learning and this to the contract mapping. Click on next, choose OpenDJ. It's not required for now in our test, but I'm just mapping this so that we can test in some other scenario. Okay, so yeah, phone number, email as a email, first name, where's first name, groups, then we have username, subject as subject, then username as a username. Next, done. This is done basic. Now let's quickly do this for simple username PCV. Quickly select the policy contract, choose the PF learning and do the contract mapping. Okay, let's go to next, choose source as the fragment2 SUPCV. And then define the value, same thing. Okay, maybe we are not going to get all, but yeah, as we have defined in that fragment, so that's why it's coming this value like this. Groups, first name, but we have only two values in the adapter, that is email and username, but both are same only. So yeah, it can just give us same everywhere, same value. Subject, username. Because you need to understand that from where you are getting the values. So the value you are getting from the adapter, and adapter can only able to give you two, I'll say only one username, because in case of simple username PCV, you are only storing username value, nothing else. Yeah, let me save this and let's do the cluster management. You need to save it, right? You can just see that you have the save option at the bottom side, so don't forget to save, otherwise you made some changes and that will gone. Okay, now you can see you have two policy in the ranking. So the priority one, this is the priority. You can see the first priority is a CIDR and second priority is a policy to CSAS. Now you have mapped your Salesforce application to connection based selector, that is to the, so that this policy can trigger. But right now this policy is in the rank number 2. So this policy is not going to trigger, because when the request will come to PingFederate, it will just navigate to like this only. It will first go to the rank 1 policy like that. So in the rank 1 policy, it can look, okay, the user is not from this network, company network, so just give that OpenDJ adapter only, so that adapter can trigger. So now to make this policy triggering for our request, what we can do, we can just change the priority of this. We can send this to rank number 1. Okay, so that once the request can reach to PingFederate, this policy is going to look for the first thing, and it can see, okay, this application is mapped to this selector, then you have the no and yes. So just give this option to this user, that simple username PCV. Okay, so let me save this and let's do the cluster management. I think that's one. Wait, I need to save one more time. Okay, yeah, no, it's fine. Policy to CSAS, do the cluster management. Yeah, just check that save option, like whenever you are making any changes, check properly that. Otherwise, yeah, I missed many times, and that's why maybe my policies are removed. Okay, so now we have in the rank 1 policy to CSAS and then policy CIDR. So now this policy is going to trigger at the first. Okay, so now let's try to access our application, and as per the policy, it can just go look for the selector, and our application is mapped to this selector, so it can land to the fragment to simple username PCV, that is basically the simple username PCV adapter. So now let's quickly test the SP initiated IDP. You can test both the flow, that's not a problem, or you can test one flow, because yeah, the result is like you understand the basically difference between the IDP and SP initiated. That's the main thing. So you understand exactly what is happening in which in both of this flow and how things are changing. So let's test with the SP only. Tracer is enabled already. Okay, and now definitely it will give us the HTML form login page. Okay, using a simple username PCV. Now if you just put like the user of the OpenDJ, you can see it will just give us a failure. You need to give either this or like test3 or test4. Now for an example, if I give this ID, You can see the failure because yeah, this is on the directory OpenDJ, not on the simple username PCB. That means it's not stored in the inside of the PingFederate that PCB whatever we defined. So if I put this ID and password, it's going to fail. Yeah, we didn't recognize the username and password you entered because it's trying to authenticate from the simple username PCB, and we are giving the ID and password of the OpenDJ directory, so it's going to fail. Now let's give our test3.example and the password. So let's give test3.example here and give the password. Okay, let's click on sign on. So it's going to authenticate us and going to send us the response to Salesforce end. Now quickly let's check the response, and then we can check on the at the Salesforce end why Salesforce is giving us the SAML error. Let's first check the SAML response. So this is our request. Request will just look like the same how it looks earlier. We have all the parameters, and let's quickly check the response. So this is the response, and yeah, you can see relay state parameter same like whatever the SP has sent, same thing. And yeah, let's go to summary. In response you can see the messages like the authentication, it will say as a success, right? So I'll show you. Yeah, you can see SAML is a success, that means authentication is done. Then you can see the session values and all. Let's check the summary for the quick thing. So you can see all the values, subject, first name, phone number, email, last name, all are just a test3.example, because that is only, I told you, in simple username PC we have only the username. Now we are passing a subject as a test3.example. Now let's see whether this test3.example exists at Salesforce end or not in the username attribute, because we have given in the federation ID as a username, if you remember. I'll show you also that quickly. Let me show you. So first let's go to Salesforce end. So you can see authentication is done at PingFederate. PingFederate sent the response with this value. Now Salesforce is giving us the error. Why? Because if we can go to Salesforce, you can see the user. We have test3.example, but the username value is test3.example @pflearning.com. So it is looking for that value in the subject. But what we are passing? We are passing test3.example. That's why it's basically denying or giving us the SAML error, this default error page to the user. Okay, now if I can show you in the Salesforce end where we define, yeah, as you can see this is fine. SAML identity type is a username. So the identity type is a username, and the value is basically here we have the subject. Okay, so in the Salesforce we have the whatever the username we created, it's basically going to match with the subject value coming in the assertion. Okay, that's what we have here. And here we have just enabled, I think, SAML enabled and make federation ID case sensitive. Yeah. Okay, so that's basically, it's basically looking for the subject value in the assertion and matching with the username configured in the Salesforce user repository side. That's the way it's verifying the user in the Salesforce. That's why we when we tried with the simple username PCB with the test3.example, we are getting the error because yeah, authentication is fine, but the user name is not exist with that value in the Salesforce user repository side, so it's denying user to log in. Okay, so that's how we tested the simple username PCB adapter also, and also we tested the another policy flow of the connection based authentication selector. Now try to test the in the next session we can try to test this the extended property part. I think we need to create the policy again as we have deleted, so maybe I'll create before starting the session, and in the session we can quickly just test this. Okay, and now we can just test like this different adapters and all to get more idea. Yeah, so let's close this session and we can jump to the next one where we can test go for the test 3. Yeah, thank you.